Welcome to Introduction to Functions and Types of Functions. After watching this video, you will be able to define the concepts of functions in JavaScript, differentiate between non-parameterized and parameterized functions, and identify the two main ways of defining functions and the various types of functions. In JavaScript, a function is a reusable block of code that can be defined and executed as many times as needed. Functions are a fundamental part of the language and are used to encapsulate and organize code into manageable, reusable units. They are essential for building complex applications as they help improve code structure, readability, and maintainability. Let's delve into more details by introducing functions in JavaScript. The first step is declaring a function. You can declare a function using the function keyword, followed by a name, enclosed parentheses, and the function's code enclosed in curly braces. Here's a basic example. After declaring a function, you can call it by using its name followed by parentheses. When you call a function, it executes the code within its block. In JavaScript, functions can be categorized into two main types based on their parameters, inputs: non-parameterized functions and parameterized functions. Let's explore each in detail. Non-parameterized functions do not require any parameters to operate. They can perform their tasks without receiving any specific input values. Non-parameterized functions are often used for tasks that rely solely on their internal logic or external factors. Parameterized functions accept one or more parameters, also called arguments, that provide input data for the function to work with. You define these parameters in the function's declaration, and when you call the function, you pass specific values for those parameters. Both parameterized and non-parameterized functions have their uses in JavaScript, depending on the specific requirements of your code. Parameterized functions are versatile because they can adapt to different input values, making them more flexible, while non-parameterized functions are simpler and more suitable for tasks that don't need external data. Now, let's learn about parameters and arguments. Parameters are variables you define in the function declaration to accept input values. Arguments are the actual values you pass to a function when calling it. In the previous example, A and B are parameters, and when we call add 3, 4 by passing values, these values are the arguments that get passed to the function. There are two ways of writing a function in JavaScript: function declaration, function expression. Let's explore each in more detail. Function declaration is the traditional way to define a function. It is similar to how we define a function in other programming languages. We start by declaring it using the keyword function, then we write the function name and the parameters. Function expression is another way to define a function in JavaScript. Here, we define a function using a variable and store the returned value in that variable. Finally, let's explore the various types of functions in JavaScript. They are named function, immediately invoked function expression, IIFE, arrow function, and anonymous function. Let's learn about each in detail. Named functions have specific names that can be called by their names. They are typically declared using the function keyword and can be defined at any point in your code. In the given example, the name of the function is add. Named function expressions are beneficial for debugging because they display the function's name in the call stack, aiding in identifying and tracking bugs in your code. Immediately invoked function expression, or IIFE, is a function in JavaScript that's defined and executed immediately after its creation. It's often employed to encapsulate variables and code within a private scope, helping to prevent global scope contamination and variable conflicts. The arrow function is a more concise way to write functions introduced in ES6. They are often used for short, simple functions. Anonymous functions are without a name. These are often used as arguments for other functions or assigned to variables. For example, you can create anonymous functions using the arrow function syntax. In this video, you learn that functions are code blocks that enhance code organization and readability. JavaScript functions enhance code structure and maintainability for complex applications. Functions are defined with a function keyword, a name, parameters, and code in curly braces and can be invoked using the function name. There are two categories of functions: non-parameterized functions that operate without specific input, and parameterized functions that accept input parameters defined in the function's declaration. There are two ways to write functions. Function declaration is the traditional way, and function expression uses variables. And the types of functions include named function, immediately invoked function expression, IIFE, arrow function, and anonymous function.